Down, tune in, turn on. It's time to get started. So welcome back, everybody. It's been a 3-day weekend. I'm back. Yes, Boo's right now with 3 minutes to go to the cash open, for the most part, are massively unchanged. I'll tell you what, I will take massively unchanged over the fact that they were up at one point like 25 in the overnight session. Huh? Yeah, you got that going for you. So welcome everybody. Again, it is Monday. It's April 1st. It is April Fool's Day technically. Yes, and the S&Ps are actually flat this morning. As we come into today's cash open, so a few points to be made this morning. First of all, taking a look at the volume, you would expect that volume should be incredibly light. Most of the European markets are actually closed, but being frank, like the volume's not that light. I took a look over at the bond market. I expected the bond market to be completely and totally anemic because European markets have a lot to do with US bond markets. That, once again, is not the case. The bonds are absolutely rocking. Gold, everybody's talking about gold. Gold is exploding to the upside. And what's so interesting about gold, you've actually got gold ripping, and the dollar is higher. And the dollar is very close, once again, to breaking out above this 105 level. That is going to be something worth noting. Again, cannot stress, though, enough, the bond market, I think that this is the reason for your sell side activity expressly inside of the S&Ps and some of the major tech stocks. So pay attention to it. Yeah, that's one where, again, in all seriousness, pay attention to the bond market today. As it's been getting rocked, it literally almost on a 1-for-1 is taking down some of the big tech stocks. Speaking of big tech, coming into the cash open, Nvidia is actually down a whopping $1. Yeah. Tesla's actually flat on the day. Meta, there's nothing going on. I mean, the only thing that I saw really moving on the screen today is none other than Microsoft, which was up about $2-3 in pre-market, still up about $2-3. That is your only bid into the Nasdaqian side of things this morning that really matters. You've also got the energy sector that has got a strong bid that might just be enough to get us out of the XLE trade profitably. Other than that, the financials this morning also have a very mild bid. So the advanced decline line might look decent to the upside. Again, advanced decline line might be decent to the upside, but you're going to be in tech's hands at the open, especially with a marketplace that's funky and is pulled back. I mean, if Nvidia starts to make a bit of a move, there so goes your marketplace, and Nvidia is clearly in play this morning. So coming to the cash open here, it's going to be slop-tastic with a positive advanced decline line, likely positive ticks. Get a feel thereafter. Into the bell we go. So the advanced decline line, not exactly what we anticipated. There's a ton of stuff, though, that's massively unchanged in here. The ticks are what I'm actually kind of curious over here. I expected a bit of a positive tick, actually a big positive tick. Not bad, not bad. And S&Ps, again, are heading a little bit lower. It is all about some of the big tech stocks right out of the gate this morning. You can see the energy sector already pulled back. I have a GTC that's working, and we are right on the dance floor. I knew this one was going to be close. So I think you should anticipate, work your orders maybe inside of the XLE to exit for 55% gain. We'll see how that one goes as well as the day goes. The XLE would need a bid, let me figure this out, to up about 40 cents in the day. Yeah, it looks like the XLE would have to be up about 40 cents today for us to fill on that trade. It's plausible. It could happen. It's actually really close. Anyway, the advanced decline line. So I am a little bit surprised by that. I anticipated the advanced decline line to actually be positive, predominantly because both energy and the financials were positive out of the gate. But take a look at the financials. They're already basically flat this morning. Not a lot of big movers on the screen. I mean, there's a few little, stories here and there of like FedEx, but it's mainly just noise. All of your tech stocks, though, sketchy in early trade. You know, that's going to be the trade in here today, though, is big tech against this bond market. And speaking of the bond market, it is seeing some sell side activity. Literally in the last couple of seconds here, the bonds, I mean, it's a big move. Again, it's a big move for a day. Well, for any day, it's a big move, but for a day that the European markets are closed, then it's a really big move. I mean, it's again, and it's not categorically not a low liquidity move. I mean, we're 115,000 contracts, which would be construed as heavy on any given day. On a holiday, you would, the volume I was thinking the volume would be maybe 50,000 contracts in here today. And again, it really matters on a day like this. Obviously, we're seeing some movement in terms of volatility as well. In fact, I caught this just a second ago when I was looking down at the bottom of my screen. Volatility has a bid through and through. It doesn't mean anything yet, though. So what? Volatility is bid up. So what? Look, we went into a holiday weekend where things were pretty dead last week. So at this point in time, I don't think that volatility being bid means anything. It means it was so dead that it has to basically jump, right? I think that's probably the more effective way to look at it. It's not like a bullish or bearish per se in there. The dollar, again, the dollar continues to propagate some gains. If you haven't been watching this lately, you should pay attention. The dollar, getting very close to this 105 level. That was a fairly critical reversal back down, prior to, we'll see though. This one, what's interesting about the dollar right now is you're seeing some of the commodities, including, of course, the metals, specifically gold. Gold is rallying in the midst of a strong dollar, which is really weird. Like, has it happened in the past? Of course, but it's really weird. You're also seeing, the energy sector as a whole predominantly rally in the midst of also a strong dollar. Also very, very weird. Strong dollar is usually not spectacular, if you will, for some of the commodity products. Looking at Boeing really quick, we do have a position in here. The only reason I'm glancing at it, I saw it up in the pre-market and it came down quite substantially. We'll dig deeper into the Boeing trade. The Boeing trade is still very much on the dance floor for anybody that might be enticed to take that trade. Just looking down the list over here. So, well, yeah. Speaking of Apple, I was just reading chat over here. If you're looking for a spread on Apple, you just have to be a little careful because the earnings are coming. And the earnings are like a month out, but they're still coming. Look at the bid right now. Just the last couple of seconds, literally the last few seconds inside of the Nasdaq have been meaningful. It is Meta, it is Nvidia. They're coming out of the woodwork right now, and I tell you right now, I haven't looked at the options activity, but I can tell you the number of calls being bought is driving this. So the number of calls being bought is driving this, but it's really low volume. It's a super low volume squeeze that is presently in play. I would assume then it has to dissipate maybe. I don't see this lasting. The volume inside of both Nvidia and the volume inside of Meta. I don't care that we're 5 minutes into a trading session. That is so light at this portion of the session. But tech is coming on strong. Taking a look at Microsoft. I mean, look at the kind of volume that's being done in here. 6,000 calls are being bought. The volume is just anemic in terms of how low it is, but it's enough right now to move markets. Meanwhile, okay, just a quick heads up, with volume this low, I don't know if this is going to have legs or if this is actually going to cave right back in. This again, normally if we took off like this early in the day, and this is a big move, I mean, in a really big move in Microsoft, almost, percent and a half. And this, I mean, yeah, the stock was up out of the gate, but this is a really significant move. You're having almost a $5 move to the upside in the last 5 minutes. Dollar a minute ain't bad, but as I just said a moment ago, the volume in here is so low that this could collapse right back onto itself in mere seconds. Normally, I wouldn't be so pessimistic on some of these squeezes, but you look at that volume and you tell me, okay, there's nothing going on in here. You just basically got a stock to fly by $5 in 5 minutes on what, 8,000 contracts traded at that level. Moreover, NVIDIA, there's some contract size in here, but it's nothing for NVIDIA. At this time of the day, I've seen, 50,000 contracts trading through just on calls. And I don't mean here, I mean just trade at the ask or above. I've seen 50,000. You have 15,000 here. It's not even a third of some of the volume that we've seen. So again, I'm kind of taking it with a grain of salt right now. Meanwhile, yes, the Nasdaq is on fire, but the S&Ps are not, as there is appearing to be a significant rotation right now out of financials, out of energy. Look at the rotation right now. They're smashing energy, which we were so close for profitability in here. So rotation is underway, people. This will confuse the advanced decline line. Okay. The advanced decline line is going to come in huge. Okay. We're not totally out of the woods though just yet. Again, the rotation right now is we are clearly selling financials. We are clearly selling the energy sector. And with that, the proceeds, shove them all into Meta. It's get on board right now inside of tech in early trade. That may not be enough though today to sustain these S&Ps. Okay, the ticks have actually flipped over. They're negative. The advanced decline line really got crushed in here. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. And a lot of people are still interested in some of the data. The data that played out, it was nothing. Like the PCE numbers and so forth, nothing. It really didn't have much of an impact. I'm surprised how significant though this rotation is this morning. And I do have some assumptions here about it. One of the assumptions is the advanced decline line came off substantially. It could actually even threaten some of the tech stocks as we move along here. Obviously, Apple is not participating to the upside. Tesla is, again, you want to call it one of the monsters of tech, but I don't know how often we've looked at this, but it's often. The market cap inside of Tesla now is only a $500 billion. So it hasn't just fallen off. It's not even it's not worth commenting on unless Tesla's moving about 5%. Otherwise, it's pretty nominal. Clearly, NVIDIA is at $2.3 trillion. By the way, look at the gap closing every day now between NVIDIA and Apple. There's only $300 billion separating Apple and NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA is slated here right now to take over the number 2 spot in the biggest companies. And of course, you have the behemoth that is Microsoft with its reign of terror at about almost $3.2 trillion. That's such a ridiculous number. It really is. Tell me how you really feel. I think it's freaking ridiculous. See, this is exactly what I was kind of questioning a moment ago, is there was just absolutely nothing behind what looked like a squeeze. There's nothing behind it. Close that up. And look at this, there's still nothing behind it. Yeah, I think that these are going to roll over. Specifically, Microsoft, I think it rolls over, which it's starting to do. There's no size trading in here. NVIDIA, I don't give a crap that it's up 14 bucks. There's no size supporting it. Look at this, the number of calls. It's the trade has been all about options. You're not going to convince me on a morning with light volume that all of a sudden it's just go, okay, they're really buying the stock then. Okay, no one's really buying the stock. Either these calls okay? Get bought and bought in big numbers right now, or the stock's going to start to fall back, okay? And I'm just not seeing the volume come in. Meta is making over a 2% move, predicated on what? 7,000 calls being bought at the ask or above. I'm sorry, that ain't going to cut it. And if you look at volume in here, take a look at some of the volume inside of Meta. It's not even, you can't even see it. It's not even the radar screen is so low. I know it's only a few minutes into a trading session, but the volume, should be like almost 4 million by this point in the day. In pre-market and everything, there's just nothing going on. Now, that does not say, okay, trade can come raging back in over here and start buying calls. And yes, the stocks, can maintain and they can even fly higher. Okay, but again, on a day like today, I wouldn't be betting on that one. This is a squeeze that I think may pull back, and unfortunately, some people are going to get their heads taken off with that. So trade right now in Nasdaq. Okay, if you're looking for an intraday trade, look for a pullback, in my opinion. All right, I mean, there's 0 DTE. You can come in here, buy one of those little monkeys for maybe 92 cents. Okay, I'm going to execute into this thing early and see if I can't fill. So I'm working an order of the 447 puts here in the QQQ for 92 cents, and I missed it. Well, we'll see. Boy, this is moving fast. For a slow day, again, it's moving rather fast. Look at the bid offer spreads in here. They're flying around. I'm working 92 cents in here for an option that just jumped to $1. Son of a... This platform is so freaking slow right now. I should have worked this on Tasty. That would have been filled, man. You guys saw it. You saw it. I'm not going to leave my order out there now. Bear with me here for a second. If they even smell a down move, it's over and you won't be able to fill. But I don't like to leave working orders out there. We're much closer now to a fill. But I'll pick this off even if I can get it at like 93 cents. Okay, all I'm trying to do. Yeah, the first bit of news is coming out here too. This is frustrating. Don's getting frustrated. So the first bit of news is coming out. I think it's a PMI this morning, right? Let's go look at the calendar really quick. I may fill on this. It's PMI manufacturing number, then construction spending and ISM. I'm fine with executing into this. Okay. Kind of feel like I'm playing in traffic a little bit over here, but if I don't fill before this announcement, I'm going to cancel that order. I'll come back and work it in a minute, see if I can't get filled. All right. I don't like to leave working orders out there. What I was trying to do is just buy a put in the queues, looking for a pullback in those queues, because I'm just not I'm not feeling it in here right now. I think these stocks are going to stall and possibly come back in. Look at Microsoft, for example, has come back in, but every ounce that Microsoft has come back down, by the way, that news is out. Every ounce that Microsoft has come back down, that capital has actually been flowing, okay, into like Google. See, Google is not something that typically gets squeezed at all. There's actually good volume inside of Google, surprisingly enough. There's good call volume in Google because Google usually doesn't trade crap in here. Anyway, the first bit of economic data is out. The economic data that we have to be a little bit more concerned about, construction spending and ISM can definitely move markets. So yeah, we'll take a look at that. I can see, Jamesy, you're all about Moo, but Moo is not going to move markets. That's why, I mean, I'm more than happy. Google Moo. Sorry, I made a new symbol. It's Google Moo. It's not going to move markets. It's not even going to try to move markets. It's not even going to think about trying about moving markets. It definitely has some option volume. Okay. But when I say it's not going to move markets, I simply mean, well, take a look. It's worth half and nothing over here. It's only a $137 billion company. So yes, we can take a look at it. And yes, there's definitely some call buying activity going on in there. And it's big, but I'm going to be much more situating, and anything can actually move a market. And you start to get like an idea of what moves markets. Nvidia their price action in a day, just the price action, is more market capitalization than all of like, Micron, which is crazy. Okay. So Kelly was saying, what do you mean by getting squeezed? So what you're seeing, okay, predominantly in markets is this just intense call buying. Obviously, we're not really seeing it here. I'll go back to Google. We're seeing very intense call buying, the call buying that's going on at the ask or above. When traders come in there and they rush that marketplace and they buy calls the ask or above, causes the market making firms to have to buy shares of stock to hedge. So in effect, what you're getting into is a marketplace that starts to move higher because people are buying calls. And gamma squeeze, you can call it a short squeeze. I mean, depending upon if anybody's actually short in here, but it's a type of a squeeze situation where, the market making firms are just forced into this call activity, and it's pretty consistent. And it has been a really consistent trade lately, but we're definitely seeing changes in just that. By the way, the options that I wanted to buy are right there right now. So I'll take another shot. I'm at 91. I'm actually going to keep cancel replacing in here. I'll get a fill now. Man, this thing is just moving around so freaking fast. I mean, these 47s, how many times can I miss the same thing? There, I'm finally filled. Okay. So I just bought, here, I'll put this in the chat too. Okay, clearly this is what we would term an intraday trade. So we just bought the 447s. Okay, myself and I bought the 447 puts. There's 0 DTE. I want to be on the buy side of it. Why do I want to be on the buy side? Allow me to explain. So sometimes I like to execute first and then kind of explain a little bit about that trade. Okay. I have tendency to like to take shots on an intraday basis. Now, my shots that I take are unequivocally going to be on the buy side. You know what? We were just talking about this last week because we put together like a day trader bundle. And in the day trader bundle courses, that's a huge amount of what it talks about. But the trade that I'm trying to employ, let's not look at the chart for a second. I'm bringing up the chart and telling you, just put it aside for a second, okay? Yeah, I'm actually trading on a couple of different notions here. The first one, okay, is not about a chart. So I know that a lot of people trade on an intraday basis based on what they think is going to happen in the marketplace. And that's fine. And I'm totally, I think it's relevant, okay? But that for me would never be the impetus for my trade. I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to execute, okay, based on what I think or what I see, because I don't believe that that has viability longer term. So here we are this morning, and we started relatively flat, okay, and this is in the QQQ. So then let's say that the Qs went up $3, or they could go down $3. Now this is just very simply, it's a standard deviation. Let's assume that $3, equals the daily expected move. Now I can go look that up, and I will in a moment, but let's assume that $3 is the daily expected move. So once we're up $3, which we were up $3, I enter into at right this point, I enter into a bearish trade. Okay. Why? Did I see something in the marketplace? Did this? No. As I said, let's put aside what we think. Okay. Let's put aside what we think in here. Bear with me. So I put the bearish trade on when the product is up $3. I go product, it's total disassociation. I could really care less. If you look at this from a standard deviation point of view, you've already moved up 1 standard deviation. Now, from a probability point of view, can you still move higher? Of course you can. But then you start looking at the probability of what's the chances of us being up $6? Oops. What's the chance of us being up $6? Pretty diminished, right? Because there's, supposed to be a 68% chance we're going to be inside this range. You look at a $6 move, okay, and that is what? Basically 95% of all occurrences, okay? So that's 95% of all occurrences. With 95% of all occurrences, it's a diminished probability that we get all the way to the $6 move. So can I lose in the position? Of course I can lose, but I'm not even assigning any directional bias. Yes, I'm in a bearish trade, but I'm not sitting there looking at the tape going, I'm bearish, I'm bearish, I'm bearish, I'm bearish, I'm bearish, I'm bearish. It has nothing to do with that, okay? It has to do with the fact that, look, okay, if this is going to be a 2 sigma move, so be it. I'm going to get run over on the day. But because we're already at a 1 standard deviation, we're only 22 minutes into a trading day, I think from a probability point of view, right off the bat, you're putting yourself in a higher probability situation. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so let's just talk about the higher probability situation. Then we look over here at the analytics. Now, in the analytics, all I'm looking for is April 1st. What's the expected move in the day? Okay, well, just so happens to be $3.17. Now, time out. I didn't guess that. I do my homework. All right. So I knew coming in this morning what the effective expected move was. Okay. And I knew that, where the market had to be. If you take a look at the Qs right now, they're up $3.11. The expected move is like 317. So I'm usually kind of Johnny on the spot with this one. By the way, the trade is still absolutely there. Like if you're thinking you missed it, screw that. The trade's right there. It's what I paid for it. So whatever, just buy a 1 lot and don't think about it's a 1's a 2. I'm not doing this. Okay. So I'm buying this 1 standard deviation move. Now, that's the first premise, that I'm putting myself in a higher probability situation. The second premise in the trade is that, okay, we paid 93 cents for this, okay? And there's still on the day, a $2 expected move. So now I'm looking at the live expected move versus like the overnight expected move, but there's still this like $2 expected move. So I know, okay, that if this market stays flat, okay, or rallies, that this option that I paid 90 cents for will be worth nothing. The option will be vaporized, it'll be worth nothing. But I also know that if you get a move, a favorable move, like $1, $2 in your favor, all of a sudden the option could be worth $2.12. You go, oh, whatever, man, it's $2.12. Yeah, but it's an option that I paid 90 cents for that could be worth $2.12. So all of a sudden, what am I really making in it? $1.10, $1.20. Okay. So the risk reward in here is very favorable. Okay. The risk in here, let's say is 90 cents. Okay. The reward, let's put it, and again, I think this is a very realistic example. Let's put it at about $1.10. So in a 50-50 world, I really screwed that last one up. In a 50-50 world, the risk reward still has some viability, but I don't look at it as a 50-50 world. I already put myself in a higher probability position in here. Now you're like, but it's losing, but it's early in the trading day and we already hit that 1 standard deviation. We also have news ahead of us. Okay. I'm okay. And I'm okay. And I'm not going to sit here and preach to you like, well, this market's going to do this and this market's going to do that. Okay. The trade, quite simply, okay, is, for me, it's like playing t-ball and you're swinging as hard as you possibly can and you're going to miss. Even though it's t-ball, you're still going to miss, okay? And you can miss a couple of times in here and still come out like wonderfully, because all we have to do is have one decent down day or one reversal in here and it'll be a huge trade. Now, is today that day? I don't know. There's huge divergences though today, okay? And this is where you can start exploring the tape. There are huge divergences today. Obviously, you can see the S&Ps are basically unchanged. S&Ps being up 6 is unchanged. When it says 0.13, that's unchanged. The Nasdaq right now, you're like, oh, it's ripping. It's up 0.6, which is nothing. Okay, it's a nothing burger move. It is a one standard deviation, but it's still a nothing burger because now you're dealing with, people have a very difficult time, okay, dealing with, this like numerical shift where you're so used to looking at the 124, you're like 124, big number, except you remember the Nasdaq, recently it was only at what, 14,000. Okay. Yeah, 150 point move in a $14,000 product means something. A 150 point move in an almost $20,000 product doesn't mean as much. You have to start looking at percentages. Okay. That's one of the reasons that if you don't have percentage change in your screen, you're blind. You're absolutely blind. Okay. By the way, data is coming in 2 minutes. So ISM and construction spending is actually coming. This could definitely, move markets. So again, 120 point move. All right, so it's 0.6%, but it's more or less though these pretty crazy divergences that we're seeing today. Interestingly enough, the energy sector has a bid back under it. The financials kind of got a bid back under them. Do we expect then to see a rotation out of tech? Okay, I don't know. I got more questions than answers. It's an interesting trading session though. And here's one where I'm not going to try to handicap move by move because at some point you got to realize, first of all, the ticks are barely positive. The advanced decline line this morning has been negative, which honestly caught me off guard a little bit. Anything that's up, okay, we're buying tech today. We're buying tech. We're buying gold. Apparently, we're buying people that make missiles. Anyway, that's about it. There's actually, in terms of stocks that are up, well, it's the usual suspects, but there's only a handful of them. Okay. And it's flimsy to say the least. Okay. Again, we could explode and be up 300 on the NASDAQ. I'm not going to diminish the ability. What became flimsy, as I said to you, in Microsoft, that thing pulled way back. Okay. NVIDIA, when I said there was no volume on it, it hasn't budged, and the volume is dead even on here now. Okay. Here comes, that was the warning. There's clearly some size trading inside of Google, but it's not, it's just not enough. And then Meta, okay, Meta, it definitely has some size, but look at this. Stock's up $9. You only have 12,713 calls trading at the ask or above. That is crap-tastic. It's really light volume for a squeeze situation. And clearly whatever was going on died out. It's still kind of perpetuating itself, but I'd be careful here because there's some news coming out. Anyway, I put the position on the Qs, let fly. When I say let fly, just let it go. Let's see how it goes. And this is a position that I may, just hold towards, towards the end of the day. But if it is in the money at the end of the day, the position has to be executed upon. If you're in the money, you must physically close or you will be automatically exercised. So here's data. Okay, data is out. Snap the S&Ps a little bit. Let's go look at them. I say snap the S&Ps. Pretty decent sized move to the downside in the S&Ps. That initial kind of knee-jerk reaction means nothing though. And we have inordinately low volume this morning. I was talking about volume inside of the bond market. Look at the bond market, by the way. Holy crap. That's not low volume. It was low volume inside of the S&Ps. And again, I keep reiterating this. The European markets are closed. They're closed. I've not really seen this many bonds trade with European markets closed. So take the bond move quite seriously. What's so strange about the bonds is they're down. This is a big move. They're down big today. We've all seen the bonds move 2 points plus, but there's a lot of volume and it's a European holiday. The part that really has me going though is, you would think that this bond market would impede dramatically upon some of the tech stocks, and it's just not. Like tech is literally saying, we don't need low interest rates. We don't need interest rates at all. Okay. That's why I keep saying and commenting on stuff like Google. Okay. Google is no longer just a company. It's the People's Republic of Google. You have to start looking at these stocks like they're sovereignties. We've talked about that quite a bit lately because it is insane. Like, first of all, their market cap, but insane that they, at this point, are impervious to changes in rates. They're just shrugging it off. By the way, that's like one of those signs, like, people talk about bubbles and so forth. One of the signs of the bubble. One of the signs of the bubble is quite simply when individual stocks and sectors, they don't even pay attention to interest rates anymore. Okay, I think that that would be a pretty critical sign. Okay, speaking of a sign, take a look. All right, still nothing going on inside of NVIDIA. It hasn't fallen though. So again, it is what it is this morning. Okay, and the Nasdaq continues to hold right at highs. A basic at high tick over here. Okay, yeah, this is this looks funky. Definitely a funky. Ticks are really starting to pick up too, to the downside, and the advanced decline line is getting popped again. So again, this is a marketplace today where we might see a rotation back towards places like the financials, maybe back to even energy. Energy looks like it has a bid under it, possibly out of tech. Okay, something is definitely breaking in Microsoft here, which again, I remind you, was just up. It was, I mean, traded 427 and change and pulled back, $3, pullback. As I said to you, that squeeze just was all kinds of wrong. It was done on no volume whatsoever. You cannot squeeze somebody on no volume, at least and sustain it. Okay, I like it. The monopoly narrative. Interestingly enough about the tech companies, okay, I think they're not even worried about the market cap when I say they, okay? Politics and tech, okay? They're not worried about the market cap. They're worried about the power, all right? They really are. It's a balance of power thing, okay? And if you look though at big tech, Europe is all over this and the US is starting to get better at it, but they just look at the big tech and they're like, we'll tax them a little bit. And I don't mean tax them the way that you guys think, like, let's raise taxes on big tech. No, they just, get them in front of the Department of Justice, kick them out there, settle for like 30 or 40 billion dollars. Okay, free money. And then to keep the animals happy, the animals being the politicians, all the tech companies then donate, as much as they possibly can to both campaigns. They don't give a crap. Okay, I mean, but you're going to see not just more of that. You're going to see constant. Apple obviously pissed somebody off because when you think about like monopolies, okay, in the tech world, I would have to suggest, and it's just my suggestion and my idea and my opinion, but would you think what has more of a monopoly, Apple, okay, or maybe Google? Okay, Google has clearly paid off the right people. Okay, Apple not so much. And by the way, I'm not trying to be facetious with this. I'm dead serious. Like they clearly pissed off the wrong monkeys in the room, and here we are with a huge suit on Apple. Microsoft, on the other hand, they've already been through it. Okay, a number of times. I was seeing a little bit of a break in here. Little bit of a break inside of Nasdaq. This could come off in a hurry though. So hold on to your seats. Yeah, how ironic too. Look at the high on the day in the Qs. I mean, that thing pretty much matched that $3.17 expected move almost to a T. It ain't over though. Okay. It ain't over by a long shot. All right. Okay. I like what Charles was saying in here. They're shaking the money tree. It's basically it, right? If you need a couple of bucks for a campaign, what do? I don't know, go after one of the big tech companies. It works. Back to a couple of positions we're going to run through. We're going to run through a little bit about expected move as well. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's a little bit of a slow start right now to the week, but if you will, we kind of anticipated that, right? We anticipated it because again, the European markets are closed. So yeah, 53.11. George likes his chicken spicy. We've seen a little bit of this level before. No question about that. All right, let's work our way down some positions and we'll kind of go from there. Right now, the S&Ps are massively unchanged. Again, if you woke up at all last night, okay, how many people once again are willing to admit that they wake up in the middle of the night, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, it's raining extremely hard, and you happen to look at the futures and then you can't go to sleep again? I'm just telling you about my night. By the way, it's absolutely pouring here. To have rain in Arizona, because I'm in Arizona right now, to have rain in Arizona, it's not that unusual. At this time of the year, like late March, early April, it's completely unusual. But we probably had inches of rain last night, specifically in this area. Crazy storms last night, which are headed to the rest of the country. But we're a good 20 degrees below normal here too. I got to get out of here, man. I'm getting cold. It's still cold also for like April. I'll be out of here though in May. I'm going to go back to the island. Okay. I must go. The island people are calling me. In any regard, yeah, I wake up in the middle of the night and look, okay, I don't mind saying I wake up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom. I'm in my late 40s now, okay? All right. By the way, we need a better system in the world for that because getting up in the middle of the night absolutely sucks. Okay. I'm going to have to invent the system so I do not have to get out of bed. Okay. You use your imagination. All right. It's going to be like an astronaut system where I could just plug onto it. I'm good. I'm out. Okay. A little bit too graphic, but at the same time, I could probably look at the S&P futures. So I wake up in the middle of the night, I look at the futures, and then I'm like, oh, all right. I'm like, oh, they're up 20. And then, I'm either pissed off or not pissed off, whatever. Okay. And then I'm up because that immediately sparks. So I try not to look at the futures in the middle of the night, but I also find myself sometimes on the weekend, I'll even look at them over the weekend. And I'm very concerned because when I look at them over the weekend, the thinkorswim platform shows me futures from 2 weeks ago that are like basically like 51.98 and change. Okay. It's not good. That's right, Dimitri. Okay. I'll just sleep in an astronaut, costume. Yes, it's very high tech. We call it a diaper. Is that what happens in the late 40s? Okay. Is this what I have to look forward to? All right. Finn, I don't want to get any older, man. I'm out after this. That whole birthday thing is totally and completely overrated. Sorry. I am not wearing a diaper. All right. It's just not going to happen. But as you get older, the number of times you have to get up, it just sucks. But again, when I get up, I look at the freaking futures. Okay. And in fact, I even have on my phone, like the little action button. It's an iPhone 15. No, an iPhone 15 Pro. There's an extra button. And with one click, you don't have to like open and press a button. With one click, it actually opens right to whatever you set it to. It's quite nice. Quite nice. Anyway, so I have my show actions button set for trading applications. Yeah, it's not good in any regard. We're enough of that. So I wake up, I look at the futures, and then I'm up. And by like 7 o'clock in the morning here, I'm already headed pretty much downhill. Okay. It is a slow, well, you know what? Actually, it is not as slow as I would have expected this morning. I mean, again, the Nasdaq is all kinds of bid right now, but we'll wait and see. All right, a couple things. As I was saying, I was going through positions here. I'm distracted, man. Okay, couple things. First of all, the Boeing position. We're okay to go. Okay to go. Why don't I close that one up? I'll open that up again. We're fine in the Boeing position. Let's actually start with Boeing. Okay. The Boeing position, we have 18 days left and we're right on the dance floor with a $10 expected move. Okay. So we don't even need, like, and I want to quantify something. You don't really need a down move in Boeing. You just need a move, So what I was looking for in Boeing was I was looking for us to retest through 180. And if we retest through 180, we're fully profitable in our trade. We don't even need a move nearly that far. We're 190, so we're buying the 190s and selling the 187 halves. That trade is still very much there. You can see the open interest is there. And if you want, anybody can still get into this trade and you'll pay even less than we did. So I don't mind, adding to a position here or there. But anyway, the Boeing trade is still very much plausible. the next trade. So you could still get into the Boeing trade, and you can even get in a couple pennies less. The next trade that I have on is, close that up, is the XLE. The XLE is right now on the dance floor for a close. I'm GTCing 145. It's trading at 138. And again, I want to bring the trade up. Okay. So this is a, by the way, when I actually pull the trade up, I'm like looking for puts immediately. I'm like, oh, wait, this one actually has calls. So this is a bullish trade in the energy sector. And my thought in here was quite simply, okay, I'm not usually a trend following monkey, but I will say this. If you look back over like the last 3 years, okay, I had a pretty good feeling we would pierce right through up to like, 95 and change. And we're so freaking close. Like I figured we were going to retest some of the highs, and the high was 94.71. Look at this, 94.69. If we retest the high, which is 94.71, we're out profitably. But we're right on the dance floor right now. If I come in here and I create a duplicate order, I just want you to see current market is $1.40. Our price is $1.45. That's out with a 55% gain. So I assume that at some point, just normal fluctuation, either today or tomorrow, we'll probably get out of the XLE trade. But look, we're not home yet. We're not home yet. Like, the stock obviously still has to, or the ETF, I should say, definitely has to rally a little bit more. Everybody comfortable with that? And mod. So I will admit to this. I have a on the island home, and I really miss this when I'm here in Arizona. But I have a urinal on the island home. Okay, I know all the gentlemen in the room like, that's disgusting, and then they're like, that's a damn good idea to have in your house. Okay, I have that in the island home. I just bought it that way. It's spectacular. So we're rebuilding this home. I'm actually so I'm in Arizona. I have to live in a rental, but I work in the guest house. So I'm in the guest house of the home here. This place is disaster too. They started demolishing portions of the home. It's lovely. Okay, I have a like the 40-foot dumpster in front of the house. It's a dumpster house, but I will install a urinal. Okay, I'm not rebuilding unless I have that in there. It's a must-have. It's a must-have. Yes. By the way, my wife actually enjoys that one too. Okay, as long as I'm not having to share with her, it's thumbs up. It's good. There's no sharing. There's no sharing. Okay, that's what you do. Make a couple of bucks and buy yourself a urinal for your house. That's it. Okay, forget cars. Okay, whatever, diamonds. It's about urinals. That's what happens when you get older. That's what gets you up in the morning. What excites you? That's about it. All right, continuing on over there. It's a viable addition to the home. Oh, we're still sitting up here. Come on, man. Can we move? Can we move? Yeah, the volumes are they're funky now. Now they're starting to drop off a little bit more. All right. Okay. Yes, Ernie, that exists here too. I'm sorry. Huh. Yeah, the volume is dropping here a little bit, and as the volume drops, those squeezes they just died out. So Nvidia took off out of the gate this morning and now can't get out of its own way. In fact, the number of calls is actually picking up on the sell side. So it's dangerous turf for Nvidia right now. Let's go look at Meta again. By the way, the reason I'm looking at these stocks with such a kind of a careful eye is the volumes are weird. They're really low, which whatever, we should see a low volume day, right? But they're really low to see this kind of price action. And it totally dissipated. Like the volume here in Meta has been near 15,000 contracts in the ask or above for a long time. And it just completely stalled the product. It doesn't mean that it's going to sell off. Just because it's stalled, if everybody does nothing, then the stock just flatlines. But if they start to sell those calls, yes, the stock would then come down. But this doesn't preclude the idea, like somebody can come raging back in and start buying calls again and lift the whole market. It's really weird. There's definitely heavy activity though still in Google. Google is the stock that's actually holding the Nasdaq right now because it's clearly Nvidia's up, but it's not moving really right now. Nothing else is really moving, and Apple is seeing some slippage. You know, a lot of calls being sold in Apple today, and Microsoft again just completely went went dead in the water here and flatlined. All right, so back to some of the positions. So we covered a little bit about Boeing, XLE, TheoTHETA portfolio, still sitting with a call. Okay, until we see some true and definitive two-sided trade, we just gotta work through. Okay, you gotta work through it. Sorry, sorry, I'm reading over here. By the way, Paul, I am not in Payson. I haven't been up there. I have to go up probably either this week or next week, but I'm not going to Payson. It's freaking cold up there, man. It's like snowing and stuff. There's sleet. I have cameras on that all over that house, and I was looking at it, this morning, and I'm like, oh hell no! It looks cold. Not to mention I have like thermostats and stuff on my phone. Okay, it's good. I warm the place up before getting there, but yeah, no, I'm gonna go up um, as it gets a little bit warmer. I have that house like all winterized right now, so if I open it up, it's opened. Um, all right, down the list, some of the usual suspects. So we looked at the TheoTHETA portfolio, a little bit at some of the spreads in here. I still have some Catapult stuff on. So Catapult is kind of a mixed bag of goods, right? I've actually got two calls. Sorry, I've got 3 calls sold and 3 puts sold. Okay, the calls losing about 50%, the puts making about 8%. So those trades, which they haven't been on for very long, those trades, I'm emphatic about if you're going to trade Catapult, if you're going to sell calls in the micros, or if you're going to sell calls in the ES, you should also sell puts. So I've got one bullish trade and one bearish trade that are in play right now. The bullish trade is in Tesla, the bearish trade is inside of Meta. Okay, both of those are making some money, but what I need, and you can see S&Ps are coming in big right now. Nvidia's cracking, Google's cracking, Meta came in big. Okay, all of them are moving very, very quickly right now. So just a heads up. Anyway, these trades inside of Catapult, and I'll show the Catapult, and people are like, but I'm not part of the Catapult portfolio. Okay, calm down. The Catapults, I'll talk about them, but inception to these trades is absolutely critical. These are trades like, even though I'll go through them a little bit here, you can't just create while they're in motion. Like these trades have been on now for quite some time. So I'll update you guys periodically on them. We're gonna have a ton of Catapult trades on. I am doing about 1 Catapult trade every single week, anywhere from 50 to 60 trades in a given year. Last week, kind of a slow week towards the end of the week, a 4-day week. I didn't trade one, so likely to trade, 1, maybe 2 this week. And the opportunities right now continue for me to be in just any really big names, although I am looking at Boeing for the possibility of a Catapult. I like Boeing, which has got less correlation, but cracking through that 180 level would be huge. But I also like Apple. This Apple is right on the dance floor for a significant break lower. And I can't help but think like Apple might be a good Catapult as well, because if it breaks through this 170, which it is right now, breaks through that 170, I mean, where are we headed? The abyss. Holy crap, it's like 150 or whatever. This could be a really viable trade. But I'm looking at the exact same thing inside of Boeing. Like if Boeing breaks 180, that thing is going to be gold. I mean, that's a big freaking move under 180. Then I have to try to sit there and figure out though, what am I going to sell to finance that one? Ooh, I don't know, but I kind of like the project. Okay, I like that Catapult. It just constantly keeps you like thinking. By the way, speaking of thinking, okay, let's go look at the dollar for a second. I can't stress this enough. The dollar has really been on my mind because it's reaching. I told you guys this morning for that 105. Look what's happened literally since that data came out. By the way, you notice I didn't even look at the data. I don't give a damn anymore. I really don't. I'm actually the only reason I look at numbers, I know this sounds terrible, but like the PCE data that came out, right? PCE data came out. The only reason I looked at the numbers because I had to record a video this weekend. Okay, I am becoming, and I've always been this way, but I'm becoming like very hard line about stop looking at the numbers. It doesn't matter. I know that. I know which announcements. I know construction and ISM manufacturing came out this morning. But I truly don't give a damn about what the numbers are because we get too caught up. Your brain, gets too caught up in why did the number say this and then the market did this. It makes absolutely no sense. That's okay. Okay. I am very much like a purist about price action. I would much more look at the price action and rather look at the price action because I'm wasting, like if you look at like a server and server capacity, I'm wasting server capacity in the head trying to worry about what I think that number implies for the marketplace. I mean, the implication is dead. It's null. Who the hell cares what the implication of the numbers is? The bottom line is price action is all that matters in the marketplace. Okay. And the more you start to learn to read into price action, the less you start to listen to noise. Like, I'll be honest, like looking at this stuff, I keep the crap up here. Okay. But it's noise. Oh, manufacturing prices paid. It's inflationary. Okay. Didn't seem to impede upon the marketplace. It took 22 minutes for that to happen. Okay. What does this say? I have no idea. Okay. Do we even know what ISM manufacturing employment is? Okay. Again, it just doesn't make much of a difference. So I say that a lot, but I have actually, I have really, really been becoming like very hard line about trying not to watch some of the data. Okay. And again, for no other reason than I think it probably ties up, what you should be looking at, what you should be focusing on is price action. One of the things you're looking at the data, okay, that's all well and good, but that data took the bonds down. That data, whatever it was, caused a huge spike up in the dollar. Trying to reverse engineer, why did that happen? Okay, why did that happen? Again, it's a waste of time. Price is price. Let it go. Speaking of let it go, so the Nasdaq actually pulled back again. Nothing to see here in the QQQ position. I mean, no, I'm going to get 500 emails or 500 questions in chat. When am I going to get out of this? I'll get out of this when I'm damn good and ready. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't pay 90 cents to get out of something at $1.55. Okay. If I can't double my money in a 0 DTE, I won't do the trade. I'll just leave it on. I'd rather lose. Okay. I can't get out there because that doesn't create viability long term. Right? It's very, very important. Okay. Very, very important on that front. So anyway, just keep this in mind on this QQQ trade. Like, look, I don't want to see the Qs, up $2. Don't even bother asking unless they're like zero or actually negative in the day. Okay. Let fly. This thing has to be worth at least $2 to get me to want to even consider bailing out of it. All right, onward and upward. I promised I would talk a little bit about expected move in the week, and here we go. So expected move. Expected move this week is approximately $62, right? So it's about a $62 expected move. Where are we right now? Unchanged, and that's fine. So $62 move. Today, yes, the markets are open today, but barely, okay? The volume today, will it completely dry up? All right, so just hang on to this thought for a second, because we're all going to sit here and we're going to say it's a holiday trading session in Europe and this goes on and that goes on. But you know what? Screw all of that, because Europe would close anyway, okay, in the next, hour or two? By the way, I think European markets, they just changed their clocks this weekend. Am I wrong? Okay. Europeans, tell me. Okay. All right. Who's over in Europe? Joyce, maybe? Huh? Anyway, I think Europeans actually changed their clocks over this weekend, which implies the time change obviously impedes upon markets. Whatever, the European markets were going to close anyway, and we're off in trading. So do not even have a consideration for that. Also, look at some of the volume spikes in here today. It's pretty good. Okay, so cool. All right, so I thought that, yeah, I love that. Here in the US, we change our clocks at a different time than the rest of the world. Can we just get rid of daylight savings time, please? Okay, aren't we through it at this point? Anyway, This stuff just pisses me off. It's making Don angry. Anyway, the expected move is about $62 for the week. Okay. I think you're going to get every ounce of that this week. I think you're going to get every ounce of it. You can already see. So VIX is picking up. But as I said to you earlier, the VIX doesn't mean a damn thing right now. The VIX didn't portend the risk that's coming in right now. What risk is there? The S&Ps are down 4. Okay. I mean, I guess I assume that that's nicer than them being up 4, but whatever. The S&Ps are not doing anything. The Dow is getting beaten up a little bit. 230 points on a $40,000 product means absolutely nothing. What's beating up the Dow? Okay. You can go look. Again, I'm not a Dow kind of guy, but Home Depot is actually your big point loser. Points are more important than percentages in the Dow. So actually, most of your Dow stocks are down. Interesting. Most of the Dow stocks are actually down, other than maybe Microsoft and a few of the tech stocks. So tech is bid and everything else is getting rocked a little bit. The energy sector. Okay, I want to come back to that for a second. So I have to wrap up and allow Jeff Bierman his, okay, get out of the way for Jeff Bierman. But the energy sector, we are right on the dance floor within like a half a penny of a fill. Okay, I know, again, I said that 94.71 is a guaranteed fill because that is the high. That's the high from like, years ago. But I have a sick memory for that. 94.71 like years ago. Because I was looking for that. That was the idea of the trade. It will make money when we hit 94.71. So I think you should anticipate that this one, you either work the order, okay, and we'll get that text message sent out if I fill and get filled a couple of contracts in here. I assume that the S&Ps are going to continue to slip a little bit more to the downside. Tech might be bid, but there's nothing holding on to it right now. Okay, I mean, NVIDIA, look, it lost all of its like mojo at this point on the day, right? There's some size now trading in here, but the size is actually very equivalent. Meta, okay, Meta, there's like no size really rocking in here. Remember, 15,000 contracts. It was like 20 minutes ago I was talking about it. So no real preconceived notions, no assumptions in here of what that may do. The one that has the squeeze going on right now, though, is unequivocally Google. Google's still got some trade activity on it. So we're going to sit, we're going to wait, we're going to be as patient as we possibly can over here. Let the QQQ trade play out. Again, the Qs need to be down, almost flat on the day before I would anticipate I would want to close the position. So at this point, let fly, look for the XLE exits. And that's it. That is what we're doing on the day. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on Jeff Bierman. Okay. So I'm going to bring on Jeff Bierman today. He's going to be talking about when the levy breaks, ramifications of company leverage, part 2. So stay tuned. I'll bring on Jeff Bierman here momentarily. What do you guys think? S&P's here today, down some 6 handles. Yeah, not a whole lot of anticipation, but don't for a second believe that this marketplace can't start rocking. Okay, you don't necessarily need European markets to have this marketplace rocking. All right, stay tuned. Jeff Bierman is coming on right now.